All right, so welcome again, everyone. So today we're gonna have an informative presentation on AI safety for the workforce, fundamentals, responsible use, and incident reporting. As you guys know, AI is proving to be a very important technology in our everyday lives. But if it is going to prove beneficial to us, then we have to think about the safe implementation of this technology. Our speaker today, Horatio Morgan, will basically take us through that. So I'll introduce Horatio. Horatio is an AI solutions engineer and founder of Morgan Signing House LLC, specializing in AI governance, enterprise transformation, and responsible AI implementation. A graduate of the postgraduate diploma in artificial intelligence for business at Said Business School, University of Oxford. He helps organizations adopt AI safely, effectively, and in alignment with emerging governance standards while driving measurable business value. Without further ado, I hand it over to Horatio to give us this informative presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for being here. We do appreciate you coming. Let me start by sharing my screen. Perfect. Let me get it in slideshow mode. Okay, great. Everyone seeing the screen right now?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Thank you again for coming. I'd like to start with a simple question, right? How many individuals here use ChatGPT this week on your systems? You can use the emoji and give me a signal. How many of you informed your IT department? Here's the thing to ponder. How many organizations actually know about everyday AI use, AI tool use within their organization? And this is the tools that are being used by their employees for work. That is really the challenge leadership is currently facing. And AI is not coming. It is already here. The question is whether your employees are using, the question isn't whether your employees are using AI. The question really is whether your organization is governing it. So today we'll be looking at AI safety for the workforce from a leadership perspective, what you should do, how you should go about governing your organizations, and so forth. To give you a little about me, I am currently situated in the United States. I'm a Jamaican by birth and formerly practiced as a management analyst with the GOJ of Jamaica doing business transformation. So I come from a background in Jamaica doing business transformation. And what you see on screen is a recent community spotlight shared by Said Business School regarding the work that I am doing involving AI governance through a special project I did here in the United States through the National Science Foundation Trails Trails Initiative, which is basically the same thing I'll be talking about here. So I do have some experience implementing this system in SME organizations. Our agenda for discussion is listed as you can see on the screen, and I'll be taking questions at the end of the session. It won't be a long session, so you'll have time to definitely get your questions in. Okay, so I'm not here to convince you that AI is coming. We all know that AI is here. We know that that conversation is over. So I think we can all agree that AI is already here in the workplace, and employees are using things like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Claude, and other sources and systems which are embedded in the tools that you use in your everyday work. I'm speaking like Microsoft Office, Salesforce, and any other tool. So even if they're not using it on their phones, they're using it within systems already within your organizations and dozens of other tools that you use daily. So sometimes you're using AI, you're not even sure that you're using AI because it is running in the background. And oftentimes, management may not realize it, your staff may not realize it, but the real question isn't, shouldn't we adopt AI? As we said, the question already is AI is already here. And how do we safely govern the AI that's already being used in your organization, right? Everything else in this presentation today is built upon the premise that AI is being used and you need to manage it to address risk and compliance issues. Okay, the first topic we'll be looking at is the AI revolution, right? AI revolution. Come on. So when people hear AI safety, and this is understanding AI safety, right? When people hear AI safety, they immediately think it is IT, because a lot of persons come to me when they hear AI is IT or cyber security or some other domain specialty. But what they must understand that these are not the only part of the picture. AI safety is really about making sure that all AI behaves the way we expect it to, aka protect the people, protect data, support good decisions making, which is human in control. We make the decision that AI cannot be accountable and allows the organization to trust and use the technology. AI safety is really organizational safety. So it includes data protection, cyber security, legal, whatever. AI all touches along all that line, which you'll find out later. And as you can see here, AI safety extends well beyond IT and cybersecurity. It reaches explainability. Explainability is really the ability for AI operations to be understood by all. So everyone needs to understand AI, explainability, what is happening, how it is happening, how it affects us. Fairness, the equal opportunity for all who comes in contact with the AI in my organization. So AI needs to be fair and it also needs to be explainable. It needs to be accountable with oversight. This is tricky because even though we are using the AI cannot be accountable, right? So you can't take an AI to court. So humans must be in control, especially in business operations, where they need to get involved, how they need to get involved, what decisions, what demands are being made, any attention, and some issues. And these are some of the issues that leadership has to agree on how they will address AI safety. As you can see on the screens, there are other areas too. I mean, safe use, responsible use, governance, continuous monitoring, organizational trust. AI, AI safety moves along the line of a widespread. It engulfs all these areas plus the areas that I just spoke about. So let's start opening our minds to think of AI not just in siloed situation, but across the board in uses within the organization. So AI fundamental. What every worker should know, right? Everyone talks about ChatGPT. But AI is much bigger than chat box, which ChatGPT is really an AI. It's not a chat box, it's a system. But we now have AI assistants, which is a form of AI, type of AI, predictive AI, recommendation engines, and increasingly AI agents. So the new thing right now is AI agents that can perform work on our behalf, right? It's much different from chatbox or a chat GPT because you can actually set it up to perform work, um, perform work, follow up and stuff, and much of those delights. And on screen, as I say, you'll see a list of those different types of AI systems that are being used. However, I want to focus on the exposure and risk, regardless of the type of AI is used, as this is a presentation on AI safety. I just want to look at the risks across the board, right? Some of the risks that you will be exposed to are hallucinations, getting things that don't really belong, that you don't ask for, that the AI couldn't prove that it makes up stuff. Bias, the bias where it makes some decision not based on the evidence, but based on other stuff. Data leakage, automation bias, and something becoming increasingly common. We refer to that as shadow AI, where employees use AI tools that the organization did not approve or sanction. I mean, just a small use here and there, no exposure, right? I want to do something, I'm having a bit of difficulty with my job. Pick up my phone, take a picture of it using ChatGPT and get the answer quickly. There's no exposure there. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's wrong. A simple mistake could cost the organization millions in damages, data privacy leakages, fines, court case, reputational risk, and damage, right? So you have to, AI safety starts with your staff. That example that I just gave you is a simple way that your staff can expose you. And even so, for example, right? A recent court case in London occurred when an employee inputted confidential data into an AI system that was eventually ruled public knowledge by the court. So they just simply, innocently, took a picture or something and inputted the private information within the system, and immediately it becomes public knowledge. This is very important for Jamaica because Jamaica and other English speaking countries are under the Privy Council, and that could affect the country because if the case comes up and an employee exposes the information, there's just no recourse for that. The only recourse you have is to train your employees well so that they can do what they need to do to protect themselves and the organization. And I would also want you to think about the EU AI Act, right? That is coming out of Europe. This is not just for Europe because under the EU AI Act, if you touch a European Union citizen, regardless of if they're located within the EU or any other side of the world, you're liable and you can come under scrutiny for that breach, that exposure. So regardless of where they are, you can be fined, right? You can be fined. So you definitely need to have some sort of governance within your system. And an increasing practice that I'm seeing, which is very alarming, is that many people are now vibe coding, right? They build softwares incredibly quick without going through the necessary procedures. Like AI governance itself needs to begin before you actually bring in any tool or any technology. So they build the software up front, right? That is fantastic. But what if 6 months later, they want some information and they bring in somebody else to do the job? There's no information there on how it was built, who built it, what information was documented. And if they want to bring in a new developer, the developer won't understand it, right? It definitely won't be able to audit it, right? You won't be able to audit it. And how do you know that your data is secure if you don't have any governance there? So you gotta put AI governance in place before you start the project and do it the right way. Even if you're vibe coding, you need to understand what you're doing. And that is where I see a lot of organizations falling down and also a lot of persons because we have a lot of vibe coders out there. They are doing very well, but unfortunately, when the tire hits the road, they're not going to be able to maximize on these projects because they don't have any documentation. They don't have any documentation. They don't have any source documents. They don't have any source codes. And all of these things need to be documented for any system that they are moving forward. So this is a warning, I would say, for organizations building stuff that you need to put in your AI governance from early. I'll speak a little bit more about this later as we move on. So let's speak a little bit about responsible AI rules, AI usage. As you see on screen, talking about just some general stuff, never uploading sensitive information, verifying outputs, and everything, right? Keeping humans accountable, and this is broadly covered under a framework: safe source, where you get the source from, noting where you source the information from, how appropriate it is before you upload it, fact check and explainability. But really, I would say responsible AI starts with the organizational culture. Despite the fact that you have these rules here, these rules are going to be subsumed under the organization and its employees' interpretation of that culture. So these rules will fall in the culture, and they're interpreted within the organization. That's what the culture will mold your staff into. So, for instance, before entering anything in an AI, you must empower your employees to stop and ask themselves. So that is where governance starts. Before you even start entering or giving them the permission to enter, they need to know certain things. They need to be trained. You need to empower them. You need to empower them to ask questions of themselves, to ask questions of the source of the organization. Should this information leave my organization? Can I verify the answers? Am I using an approved tool? And it's AI is incredibly powerful, so you definitely have to be careful. And it should never be used to replace judgment. We should empower our team to improve the judge in their judgment. That is what technology is for, to empower our team to use their judgment. And this, I would say, is a very important part of leadership. Leaders set the tone within the organization. Leaders train their staff. Leaders train their staff. Leaders bring the resources to help their staff. That's why AI governance, as I say, starts before the organization ever uses any tools or implement any change. Just by notifying the staff, finding out what is happening, doing some assessment to see where they are in the implementation of new technologies. Because technologies will change. Today we have intelligent system. Tomorrow we have quantum. But your staff is what will be permanent. Your culture can change, but it isn't change overnight. It does need leadership. So this is where business transformation and AI governance come hand in hand, working to move the organization forward for the implementation of AI. Okay, and now we're going to be talking about AI agents, which is the rave nowadays. A lot of persons are talking about AI. And this is where AI is changing dramatically. Traditional AI answers questions, right? Answers questions such as chat box, chat GPT, but AI agents perform actions. This is the difference between a chat box and an agent. An AI agent, you can employ it as you employ it to do certain tasks. You cannot employ a chatbot to do certain tasks. An agent can send emails, approve invoice, schedule meeting, update database, and trigger workflows. Once AI starts, and here's the thing, once AI starts acting rather than advising, governance is really critical for your organization. It becomes more significant and more important because this is where you actually control for mistake. This is where you control for where the AI agent, what the AI agent is doing. Unfortunately, some businesses are out there now using agents and they can't tell you what the agents are doing. They can't tell you what. That's why governance, for me personally, is not just a policy, right? It's not just a policy. It's a culture. It's living. It's intelligent. The operative word for me would be how do you control your agents using AI governance? And truth be told, right? Some organizations are right now really exposed because they are employing agents. They're getting vendors, right? Vendors who are using agents that these vendors are not giving them any documentation. They're not telling them how the system works. They're just buying some agent to do some work. And if anything happens and they're legally exposed, then who will be liable? In Europe, I know that they have the product liability law where it defines who is liable. But in this side of the world, who is liable if an exposure comes in? Sad to say, it's the organizations who are at times, in most cases, liable because they are the ones who are trusted to 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 to, to to actually marshal and take control of these vendors. They're the one entrusted with the responsibility of directing the vendors. And in most cases, in some cases right now, it's the vendors who are leading the organizations, the leadership in terms of implementation of AI, and not the other way around, where if the organization had some governance in place, then they'll be the one to be leading the vendors with what to tie in what they're doing with their goals, with their objectives, what with their people, how their people are trained, and all of these things. So yes, as I said, truth be told, some organizations are really exposed. And I coined it this way. Fire there must steal and them think a cool breeze, right? That is in the Jamaican context. Having no plan or system in place to manage the agents will leave your organization exposed. It is as simple as that. So if you're having vendors in your system, in your organization, and they're not managing the agents, they don't give you a document. First of all, they also need to tell you which framework they're using, right? And I'm sorry to say also that when planning your governance system, you need to know which framework you're aligned to. Some of the most popular ones are ISO 42001 for AI. You have ISO 27701 for ISM for the ISM technology that you use that goes with AI. So sometimes they couple the ISO 27001 and the 4201. Sometimes they also do EU AI Act, and they serve varying purposes. You have ISO 27701 that is for data privacy, and it depends on what you're doing and why you're building a system and your purpose, why you'll be using some of these. But you have GDP, you have SOC 2 here also. So you need to know what your business is about, so it's aligned, which framework you're aligning to. So when you have all of these things, then you can bring in your vendor, because now you're able to lead your vendors to tell them what you're doing and you need to and how you're doing it, right? So those are some of the conditions that you think about when you're looking at your AI agents. So let's talk about AI governance in proper now. People often think that governance means bureaucracy. It doesn't. It simply means managing your risk while enabling innovation. There's always a trade-off. How do I manage my risk while encouraging innovation and development within my organization? And let me tell you this. Imagine that, as I was talking about this earlier, imagine that your startup or business becomes incredibly successful and someone wants to invest or acquire your company. One of the first questions they'll ask isn't which AI model did you use? They'll ask, show me your governance, show me your policies, show me your control, show me your evidence that your AI was built using the right methodology and is following certain standards and is following certain frameworks. So remember, I would say governance protects the value of your organization, right? Governance protects the value of your organization, and it also protects your streaming income, because you don't want to be fined if you're operating in certain parts of the world and put your business in jeopardy. As I said previously, knowing the frameworks like the ISO 4201, the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, and the EU Act will all help your organization answer the questions: who makes the decision, what decision is made, when something happens, when you have an incident, where it happened, how it happened, and so forth. You need to have this information on hand. It's for the regulators. I mean, when you speak about GDPR, even DPO, data protection, these are all some part of it. And all of these do make up governance systems, right? So you need your governance system in place before you implement any AI system. I'll reiterate, you need your governance system in place. I will also reiterate that you need someone who knows about AI governance within your team or external from your team, but you have access to those individuals, because knowing the ISO 42, the different frameworks, is crucial to the success of the development of your AI governance system. And as I said, AI governance is not policies or standards. It's a living, breathing system that responds to threats, threats and compliance issue as they come along within the organization. So it's living. As I say, living, it adapts to different situation and it solves risk that as a risk arise, it is able to solve it if you implement your government system well. Okay, on screen, as you can see, my I have a developer counterpart in Canada, and we are developing an intelligent AI governance system called GovFlow. This is an excerpt from the system, right? And it's built to facilitate organizations managing their AI system intelligently. One of the new phenomenon that is coming around is intelligent AI governance, where because the AI is getting so powerful, right, so strong, we need an intelligent system that will actually track what is going on with the governments, with the organization. So it's actually AI watching AI and reporting on AI, right? So basically, I'm showing you this rather than just talking about it and talking about it theoretically, so that you may see what operational governance looks like in a live system. So this is a scaled down version though that walks you through several areas of the IP. And this is done because of IP issues. I wasn't able to show you everything on the dashboard. So leadership will see a board like this that they can be able to monitor what is happening within the organization's AI use. And it has many different assessments, many different drop down. I will show you a video at the end of this presentation that you can jump on and see what it actually looks like. And this is not an exhaustive list, as I say, of the different areas that are covered by a governance system, but this is what a lot of organizations are using out there. And as I spoke about what as I speak about AI governance, as I said, a lot of organizations are saying they have the policies in place, but AI governance should not be a PDF. It should become a part of your everyday operations. A lot of persons say they have governance, but it's only files and policy. True governance is alive and active, right? True governance is alive and active. And let me see if I can get on it. I was going to do it at the end, but let me see if I can get on it right now. Okay, let me, if I can get on it right now and take it back to you. Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
It's
Yes. Not sure if we should be hearing a sound, but we're not hearing, but it's okay.
Horatio, just checking. Should we be hearing sound?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
No, man, it's fine. Yeah, yeah, at the end, it's fine. It's fine. I guess you can explain as you go.
Yeah. So this is the everything that you see here. My system can do. 1 minute. Let me stop here. Let me stop here. So everything that you see here, my system can do. My system can do. I'm gonna be sharing the link. I'm gonna be sharing the link to the system. All right. Okay. So everything you see there, my system can do. I will share the link to the video at the end of the day, at the end of the presentation. So we have built that system. We're demoing it right now. I spoke to Oxford just this weekend, and the entrepreneurship center is in with us, looking at partners to partner with us. We are also looking at partners in Canada and Jamaica. So if you know anyone who is interested in building out an AI governance system, you have a partially Jamaican, Canadian system that is out there that will be coming online. All right, let's quickly talk about AI incident reporting. Right, let's now look at AI incidents. One of the biggest misconception is that incidents only happen when something catastrophic occurs, like data breaches. For me, this is actually not true. Other things can occur that I would classify as AI incidents. For example, an employee uploads confidential information to GPT, right? AI generates incorrect legal advice. The wrong customer receives an AI generated response. An employee uses an unapproved AI tool. Another employee example is a vendor silently changing an AI model, then say, if aviation only investigate crashes, flying wouldn't be as safe as it is today. And this is a regular problem challenge out there. Vendors at times change the models on you, the customers, and you're not aware of it and you don't know how to do it. They essentially take control of your system, which is how they stay in business. But on the other hand, you are the one carrying the liability. And therefore, you need to be in charge of that. And therefore, you need to have a governance system. So I'll just say the bottom line is an organization to need to learn from near misses, right? Anything that happens that is out of order, that is out of the occurrence of how the system should work is really an incident, and it should be recorded, it should be mapped, and it should be studied to show that these things don't happen again, right? These things don't happen again. And therefore, that is why I recommend that, as I say, anything that happens out of the ordinary be recorded. And as you can see on screen, I didn't say much, but really the life cycle for incident reporting involves the detection of what happened. This is why you need a governance system. You need a live system as continuous monitoring, such as the one that I've shown you before, that can actually go back in time and show you what happened and have it documented. Because especially for that reasons, if you're regulated, and you have auditors and they want to see what happened, that system must be able to tell you what happened, when, how, where, which human being was in charge. That's through your governance system. And that's where the detection takes place in order to help you to contain it and then to report it and going back to investigate, correct it, monitor it, and learning from it. I know that in ISO 4201, you are required to build a risk treatment plan for every system, risk treatment plan and a risk treatment correct investigation, risk treatment investigation, risk treatment plan for every system. And you track every incident that is recorded there. Even if it's not recorded in a cycle, it didn't happen in a cycle, you keep it on your incident plan. You implement your risk plan to show that it is still there, however, it is contained. So this is one of the reasons why you have to be able to map all the incidents that takes place within your system. So we spoke a little bit about this earlier. We touched on culture, and this is where it becomes crucial if you hope to develop a supportive culture, right? You must be able to put a system in place to help your employees, not really to blame them if things happen or if things don't go anywhere. As I said, the success of your organization depends on your staff. It depends on what you put in place. It depends on how your staff interpret your leadership. It depends on the resources that you put in place for your staff. So don't just think that when you're doing a transformation, you're gonna just, okay, I'm gonna use AI. No. You speak to your staff, you find out what is happening, you determine your goals, you basically determine the outcome of what you want before you even start building out a system. And all of this is included in your AI governance, right? And AI governance then now should be able to enable the innovation of whatever system that you're giving you the profits, giving you the success, or wherever. You should be able to see it before you start it. And seeing it has to be with your culture of your organization, your people. How do you prime them? How do you prime them to really become productive? Where the responsibilities lie? Who gives the guidance? The different types of tool. You may not know the tool that you're going to start with. You may not know the training, but you know your people. And once you know your people, then you can determine the tool, you can determine the training, you can determine the reporting mechanism. You can use your culture now, which can build up your business transformation using AI or tear down your business transformation using AI. So this is where you want to build out your governance system with your team, with your people, before you start building out adding AI to it. And this is where a safety culture can be brought into play by actually training your staff how to use AI, when to use AI, what type of AI to use, because I know that there are tools out there that some IT departments are now streamlining where their staff can only use certain AI instruments within the organization. But how can you guide the staff if the staff doesn't feel like this is necessary, or if the staff doesn't see themselves as a part of this organization, as a part of this business transformation? Remember, business transformation was failing, digital transformation was failing before the advent of AI. About 50 to 70%, as reported by McKinsey, failed digital transformation. And AI is really just an innovative tool that is extending business transformation. And therefore, the same rules that apply to business transformation does apply to the implementation of AI within the organization. And actually, AI safety will flow out of everything that you put in place in your organization before you commence the work. So always remember, my culture determines the output and success of my AI implementation plan. And governance within the context and the confines of this system should enable innovation and not stop development, right? Governance should be in place as the tool that holds the organization together coming out of your culture. All right, let me move to 13. Okay, so this is now a more practical approach to the implementation of AI governance and safety. All right, and on screen you can see there are 7 fundamental capabilities if you want to implement a governance system. It must be visible to your staff, right? It must be visible to your staff. We can't express that any more than it is. Your culture, your organization, you must have the policies in place. You must have the accountability. AI doesn't make rules. You have risk management, assurance, third-party oversight, that's vendor management, workforce readiness. And this is where the rubber hits the road, right? I've been asked, what software should we buy to implement AI governance? However, I think this is the wrong question. As I've been stressing, the better question you should ask yourself is, are we ready for AI governance? Do we have the culture in place? Do we have the resources? Do we have the team? Right? You need to answer all of those questions before you even start thinking about a minimum viable AI governance. After which you need to start investigating and knowing, do you know what AI is being used in your organization? Do you have an AI inventory? Do you know who is accountable? Do employees know how to report AI incidents? I particularly went through all previous sections to get to minimum viable AI governance, because these are some of the things that you will then bring into the base of building out an AI governance system, and then bring it over what is happening in the organization, what is happening in the organization with AI to start building out your system, right? And therefore, you need to do all of these things before the ones I spoke previous to here, and knowing what AI has been used, where the AI has been used, who is accountable, and what your employees know, training and all of those things, because you then need to prepare for regulators or your customers, and they will ask for evidence, right? Can you produce it? Is it explainable? And these are some of the areas that a minimum viable AI governance system will cover. These are areas that you must be prepared to answer, building out your AI governance system. And if you have everything in place that we spoke about, and you do your AI audit, with the 7 fundamental capabilities, you'll be ready to start kick off your AI governance system, right? One more thing you need to do, right? You need to also establish which framework are you using. Which combination of frameworks do you think you'll use? Will it be a SOC 2? Will it be a ISO 4201? Would it be EUAC? We already have GDPR that is across the world. So all of these things you must think about before you start building out your minimum viable governance. After you get all of this information, then you can start putting your documents together and bringing in a specialist or somebody who has the knowledge of what needs to be done to help you through the process. I'm going to stress it. You're going to need help in getting all of these things done. Okay? And then we move to an implementation plan. I have here a quick 90-day roadmap. Like month 1 is really to determine and discover what is happening with AI within your organization. Moving on from what we just spoke about, the who, what, where of AI. Then after identifying our framework, identifying what we're going to do, we start putting in a plan to train your organization. If it's a tool, you basically, in month 2, start training them to use a tool. You start very small, right? You start very small. Very, very small. You shouldn't have more than 2 initiatives for a calendar year. 2 good initiatives that you have worked out your return on investment, you have worked out your inputs, you have worked out your resources. A lot of organizations, some organizations are doing 2, 5, 6, 7 different initiatives, and then they're finding out that they're not getting the return of investment that should be had. There are ways you can calculate return on investment, profit, loss, whatever. But you need somebody who understands the system, understands AI to help you through that calculation and getting you where you want to go. And after you do the discovery, you do your training on this common tool, then you can start your monitoring, your auditing, and in improving within 3 months. My organization, as you will see, you'll see the link at the end. We have a template on the different things that we can put in place. We can get you up and running with our governance system within 3 months. Absolutely. And we can look at your inventory system, your policies, your incident drills, your monthly reviews. We can do all of that and get you up and running for an AI system, an AI governance system within the 90-day roadmap. And then to connect you with that intelligent system, which is continuous monitoring, which is where frontier AI systems are going now, where it's a loop where they can monitor what is happening in the organization, but you're not going to get there if you don't have the basic minimum viable AI governance system in place, right? So you're not going to get there if you don't have that in place. If you need more information, just connect with me and we can set something up to get you off the ground. I just finished a pilot project, NSF Trails, Trustworthy AI in Law and Society, sponsored by the National Science Foundation, with Jaya and some US organizations, where we looked at building AI governance systems off the ground. We picked up organizations wherever they are. It doesn't matter where you are, we'll pick you up and we'll move you forward to where you need to get to go. We just need to understand where you are in the process and what your mindset and what is the culture of your organization. Okay, and so we have come to the end of this presentation. I would like to leave you with one thought, right? As you can see the 5 takeaways on the screen, but my one thought is that organizations are no longer competing on who has AI. Everyone will have AI. And the organization that succeeds will be the one that governs AI responsibly. AI doesn't remove accountability. You always need a person, you need someone that is accountable, or several individuals, depending on the stage and the level, are accountable. It changes where accountability lives. Governance is simply making sure that as AI becomes more intelligent, our organization become more responsible. And another thing to note, I know that NVIDIA just produced some chips that can make AI run on your laptop or make it smaller. It doesn't matter how small the system is, you are going to be exposed. You're going to be exposed to different risks, and you're going to be at some point under some compliance issue. So for the near future and even for the long future going ahead, you're going to need AI governance. You're going to need somebody with the skill set. You're going to need somebody to lead you through that experience, because it's more than just implementing a system. It's the whole digital transformation experience that this AI specialist will lead you through. And with that said, I'll just leave you with the 5 takeaways as you see on board. You can see, I think you can get this presentation, get a copy of this presentation through Jaya, and there's some contact information there. You can connect with my local rep organization in Jamaica, and we can set up something if you are so inclined.
All right. All right, so I think we can all agree that it was a great presentation by Horatio. I definitely learned a lot, especially in today's day and age. Understanding AI governance is almost as important as understanding the technology itself. As you implied, we'll be sending out the recording. So just look out for that once you registered for this session. I think unless anybody has any question before we close out.
I see a question here from
Okay.
Miss Jarrett, Fiona Jarrett. Good night, Mr. Morgan. In relation to AI governance, I work in the court system in Jamaica, where my employees are familiar with the term AI, but have limited practical experience with it. What steps would you recommend to the head of the organization for training for staff, as well as successful implementation of AI governance while ensuring staff are adequately prepared? The most I can say about that, Ms. Jarrett, is that I know that the government is putting together a plan for the country, especially for the public sector, where they'll be addressing training of the staff, because there needs to be some level of sensitization, some level of assessment that takes place where the staff themselves and the organization figure out where the staff is in relation to AI, where the staff themselves figure out where they are. And some amount of change management needs to take place. I'm a change management specialist. I know that there's some level of skills mapping that can take place to help the staff reach where they want to go. But also, if they want particular training to just to get to know AI, they can check out my website. I have some basic level AI courses that they can, and it's really cheap, $25. Because I understand it's Jamaica, $25 to get to start understanding what is AI, what is AI governance, and so forth, and some practical example that they can start using to get off the ground and follow up on my presentation. So just check out my website. You will see some, and if you need more information, get in touch with me or my rep. We'll be glad to help you. Let me see. I see Miss Shannon Henry. What certifications would you suggest get if they want to do AI governance as a career? Also, I mentioned AI monitoring other AI. How can you ensure it regulates itself? Well, let's deal with the certification issue first. We know that in this part of the world, Jamaica is developing its capability through the government and its regulations. So we have to wait for that. We are tied to EU in some case, and you could look at those. But I would say if you want to do AI governance, I did my course at Oxford. You can look for some of those courses. There's actually several organizations. There's AIGP that you can do their training and their assessment. There's ISCA, and but here's the thing: there are different strands to it. Like ISCA, there are some cybersecurity aspect of it that is, because there's an overlapping. When you look at AI governance, it really overlaps between cybersecurity, data protection, data governance, and several different areas. So if you're training one of those areas, you can upskill yourself in the various areas to better govern AI. For me, I did training in cybersecurity, data protection. I'm a lead auditor through Mastermind for ISO 42001. This is really AI management. ISO 27001. This is from the IT aspect of AI implementation. ISO 27701 for data protection. And I also did the GDPR. So as you can see, these are many different areas. And even recently, somebody spoke to me about some AI law, whatever. I'm looking into it. So, but you have to start somewhere by knowing AI, basic AI first, and then you start specializing in the areas that you want to go, whether you want to do it through privacy by getting the privacy certification, and then you look at AI governance. I personally believe that AI governance will become intelligent, and there'll be a general overlap among the areas as we go forward, as everything condenses into intelligent systems. So I would look at AIGP, IAPA, the IAPAs. I would look at the ISCAs. I would also look at, and you can look at some, I don't want to tell you to do, I know that there's a course through Harvard for $3,000 online that should get your foot through the door, because it's not a complete course. Because what a lot of persons mistake AI governance for is that they mistake AI application for AI governance. AI application is just using and learning to use the different tools within AI systems. That is not AI governance. AI governance is more in depth, knowing about what is happening within the system itself, some AI safety, mechanistic transferability, what goes into the AI and what comes out. They don't know what is happening within the AI system, and knowing deeply what is happening within the system. Some amount of machine learning also that takes place, how data is stored, or how neural networks are made. So you have to do some of those courses, but search for some of those courses. You can go online, search for AI governance for the major certification body and start there. Or you can do a course with an organization, but make sure you're not just doing a certification course, but you're actually doing a course that you're learning about what happens within the AI system. As it relates to the next question, let me see. It says AI monitoring other AI. How can you ensure it regulates itself? Yeah, we're talking. That's what my system does. We are talking about behavioral monitoring, where you train. I'm training my system through a thing called a RAG that it's directed through what I input in my system. And it's based on the guardrails that I enter into my AI system that will monitor. There's a lot of research taking place in regards to behavioral monitoring itself of AI. And there's a AI safety is a higher level than just AI governance. And they do like the prompt testing and several different strands of it. You have many organizations out there, such as Blue Dot. I did the Blue Dot Impact. I did their curriculum already, went through their curriculum and everything. You have several organizations, AISI out of Europe, out of England. England has a good researching system that is there, that is doing a lot of these works. But you're not hearing, because there's less than 2,000 persons in AI safety across the world. It's very lucrative. It takes a lot of training, and sometimes it's hard to get a job in the area. But if you do get in, kudos to you. I'm almost there, and you'll have a job for life. You'll be a rich person. That's most I can say. I'm seeing Latoya speaking about a DPA. Let me quickly answer that. Yes, Latoya, doing a DPA is good. Mastermind has it that any such relevant assessment that's done before the AI governance assessment that's done is good, because doing a DPIA is important because it gives you some information from the data protection aspect. You still want to know about what happens with the data governance aspect of it. You still are going to need to know about what happens in the cybersecurity aspect of it. But these are all fused to give you a proper assessment with the people aspect of it, of what is happening in the organization. And like Mastermind and ISO, they have a rule. Any of these assessment that is done 6 months or less, right? In terms of when they do an assessment, when they do a certification of an organization, they use these reports to not have you repeat that exercise, because these reports are valuable. So they incorporate these reports within their assessment going forward. Once you have, so if you have a DPIA, if you have a cyber report, if you have a data governance in place, system in place with the documentation, they'll amalgamate all of these documents into one to look at how your system is operating and to look at the particular framework that you are trying to implement. Did that satisfy your question? Shannon, did that satisfy your question? Is anyone hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you,
Okay.
Horatio.
Any more questions?
I think someone asked if they could if we could get a copy of the presentation.
Sure, they can get a copy of it.
All right, cool. So yeah, we'll send that in the email as well. Just so I'd encourage you guys, if you haven't already, sign up for the Jamaica Artificial Intelligence Association. We have sessions like this all the time. Just go to jia.org.jm and you can get informative sessions like this for free regularly. Yeah. All right. I think that seems to be all the questions. So I just want to say thank you again, Horatio, for taking the time out to give us a very important presentation. A lot of organizations are starting to realize how important AI governance is. It's not just about the technology, it's about also using it safely. And AI governance covers all of that. So thank you again, Horatio. Thank you for everyone that came out to support the event. As I said, this is something we do regularly as a Jamaica Artificial Intelligence Association. We regularly have sessions like this. So, do yourself a favor, check out the website, join as a member, and yeah, enjoy the benefits of being a member. All right.
Oh, Matthew, I
Yeah.
just clicked the link for the video itself because I'm aware that the sounding wasn't coming through. So anyone who wants to listen to it, they can actually click on the link now and get to it.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I can send out that link as well in the email.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Thank you again. Bye.